Howdy YouTube, it's the man with the crazy hair. This was the first video that I was recording today, but actually this is the second take because I don't know how to use Cyberlink Power Director and accidentally deleted what was actually a really good take. So, but first, I want to introduce you to two gorgeous new friends of mine. This is Link and Scamp. They're beautiful little babies, and I love them very, very much. And they're having a snooze right now. So, we have 15 minutes to discuss one of my favourite topics. Like, all over again, take two. This is the War of the Sexes! And I'm reading this off a Microsoft Word, OpenOffice actually. I'm reading it off a document, so there isn't really much room for me to really interpret what I'm saying or really give it the emotional oomph I feel is necessary to describe just how powerful and important this whole issue truly is. So, let's get down to business right away. Okay, so, this is most relationships, right? Okay, granted there are like successful exceptions to the rule. I'm hardly one to talk about how relationships truly work, okay? But the divorce statistics speak for themselves, and most marriages are probably deeply miserable anyway. So, entertain me here, because that notion hits me like right in the gut like a 10-ton hammer. And I think that's a mark of truth. If you're in a happy relationship, apologies, but it stands up to my observation, and that's enough for me, and I don't see any use in feeling guilty about any of that. So, let's get down to brass tacks. Here is most relationships. Guy meets girl. Guy falls in love with an idea of that girl, a fantasy. If he has enough balls and guts, thus avoiding the dreaded friend zone, he hooks up with her and is cheated into a relationship because probably he doesn't have much experience with women and is probably looking to literally sow his wild oats, and he basically gets manipulated into having a relationship he doesn't really want. He gets bored with the reality of this relationship. Sure, he might enjoy the sex for a while, but he gets bored of it. I mean, he spent his life in front of porn and fantasy, okay? And the reality of having a relationship doesn't match up, and he wants out. Girl, who spent her life similarly in a dream world, but this time it's My Little Pony and white knight marriages, and he's unable to bridge the gap into reality. Little adjunct. It's okay to live in the dream world if you can make it real, okay? Alright. Okay. So she's unable to bridge the gap into reality, becomes insecure due to lack of emotional nourishment, becomes needy and weak. Guy turns into a dick, because she's turned needy and weak. Guy and girl have huge fights. Girl cheats on her guy with another guy. First guy walks off with the emotional wounds, still stuck in his head. Goes and probably relives the same cycle with someone else. And the girl repeats the whole cycle again with this new guy because that's all she knows. You just wash, rinse, repeat every 6 months to a year, maybe 2 years, maybe a bit longer if you're lucky, until you're 50 and emotionally dead in a lifeless marriage because you didn't want to die alone. And that's the good ones! That seems to happen 80% of the time, and that example is the more successful ones. I don't know. I haven't had much relationship experience. My love life, I mean, it's been a Spanish soap opera on crack, but I observe and generalize like the rest of you, and this is as good a springboard as any for a debate. Okay, the least successful ones are like this forever, filling in each other's psychological defects, bitching, whining, playing power games. It never ends. Never. Never, never, never. I speak as someone who just got out of a relationship, and this is my perspective. Successful relationships, like 2% that really work, you know, which is about the success rate of jumping out of an airplane without a parachute, okay? Alright. I believe that men are a tree. They root themselves emotionally, energetically towards a common purpose, and women enjoy a wide range of emotion around this notion of male security. Men root themselves into purpose and devote their energy to a better life in the present moment, and women experience their emotions around that driving force, male security. The truth is, in the last relationship, and this is it simply summarized, I had no roots and she had all my nuts. So this is my point of view on the current social reality of marriage and like children, women, and gender. Remember, this is only true from a certain point of view. Withhold your judgments, listen without prejudice, strap yourself in, leave a comment at the end, okay? Ready? Here we go. Okay. Just entertain me here. Imagine this might be true. You might find out that it's more true than false. Play it again. See what you think. Whatever. I don't care. I also add, this is not where I want anyone's life to be. This is hell on earth, okay? This is what makes the whole thing so poignantly hilarious. Like, a seemingly intelligent species could make the same mistakes over and over again. Okay, so why don't I agree with marriage, true love, and children? Here. Marriage originated in the era of arable farming, when farmers and harem-laden despots ceased being nomads and settled down into the ground. When they started farming, they realised they needed something to survive. They had something to lose, so they created the idea of ownership. The women that they had also, along with the farming ground, became psychological property. Similarly, true love was an idea created by romantic gypsies and troubadours who were trying to steal the women of the hard-working middle-aged men, the soldiers, like the politicians, the hard-working guys who were making beneficial contribution to society. These people were stealing them off the roads by playing banjos, by way of the notion of a force that conquers all, which, by the way, is just the most brilliant get-out clause for a man who has no game. Oh, a force that conquers all? Don't worry about the stuff of the people actually doing something positive to society. This is more important. Bullshit. Don't even get me started on children. I love kids, alright? They're sweet. They're the future. Well, as George Carlin says, when they grow up, they're adults and they're not the future anymore. But there we go. I love kids. They're great. They are the future, present, whatever, blah, blah. But I would never have any. They are often a means of parents cloning themselves in a desperate bid for immortality. They're not the final solution for happiness that anyone with ever popular, like it's really popular nowadays, the child fetish, you know, whatever those people might claim, don't listen to them, it's bullshit. In short, all three of those things, marriage, children, true love, brainwashing tools, by your own mental and emotional weaknesses, society got to you before you could talk to yourself. And those things have nothing to do with your reality as a mortal animal with a body consciousness and a creature that is going to die, essentially. I cannot voice it any more strongly. You've been living a lie. So much so, I mean, stuff has been spitting out of my mouth as I've been saying this. 2,000 years ago, people were not expected to live longer than 20 years old. They were clubbing their food to death and screwing anything with an orifice. Now, the seal of truth here is whether it resonates with your heart and your gut and your mind all together. All at the same point, you think, hey, that guy was right. I can put 100% trust in his ideas. But you will not have the courage or intelligence to really adopt that. I'm sorry, because just like me, and like nearly everyone else on the planet, you are scared and weak. In that regard, cavemen have a huge leg up on you. Do I want to go back to that era? No. But I don't think Zac Efron and Twilight are a step forward. In fact, I think they're an embarrassing, ugly, fetid, festering distraction from the nuts swinging between your legs, and they wouldn't last a second in caveman times, or even in the ghetto nowadays. If you want to know who you are, you boldly step outside your comfort zone without regret, and understand that you are an animal. Live life like you got a pair, you fucking pussies. Now, to be fair, we have to say that men started most of the baloney in society, laid the groundwork for a feminist backlash. A chauvinist culture of expecting women to comply meekly while the man grins and drives his red sports car has a lot to answer for. The sad thing, and the even worse thing here, if that wasn't bad enough already, the needle has swung too far the other way, way too far the other way. Feminism made its presence known, then pushed even further, demanding more stuff to the point of over-feminizing society, often in the form of imitating the worst behaviours of men, in the form of demanding bright, shiny objects. I need that ring! Give me the ring! I want it! 200 quid! Or whatever. Nowadays, there's a subtle culture of expectation from women, overbearing mothers, carbon copy bimbos in clubs, God forbid mothers-in-law. Women dominate the social and sexual arenas. Men are not in control. They make most of the important decisions in those circles, which is all of society, it seems. Most teachers are women, for example. The queen bee in any group can determine the fate of anyone in their close social circle. One rumour from a woman can destroy another woman's life. Plus, they're far more sexual creatures than men. They just have the capacity to keep it fairly under wraps, because they know that society, the same one that hypocritically pumps out highly sexualised advertising in an attempt to treat us like cattle, will call them a slut. Men may think about sex every X number of seconds as a kind of a mental construct, a kind of a pie-in-the-sky fantasy that porn helped to create, and thus they become bored of the women they're in relationships with as a result. But the most feminine women ooze sexuality from every part of their consciousness. Who here saw Black Swan? Come on, men, raise their hands. Who here saw Black Swan and thought Natalie Portman going crazy was the sexiest thing on screen all year? I certainly did. I don't think enjoying your sexuality is a bad thing, but I think other women certainly do. Then again, I mean, society has taught them that they're worthless without selling their sexuality, either through dating, which is kind of like the pilot episode for marriage, and marriage itself, which is essentially being a contractor. If you disagree with me, I mean, you might very well be miserable. If you don't, you're probably happily insecure. You don't have, and neither of you have any reason to care what I'm saying anyway. So, women like that will savage a woman who blows the game open. If you disagree with me, you just have to listen to your hearts and really think to yourself, are you really happy with the way things worked out? Your own dissatisfaction is my own response. Okay, those kind of women often tend to be chronically unhappy materialists who aren't really attracted to men, just status. The worst examples of those women are the kind who watch too many episodes of Sex and the City, imagine themselves to be similar, and then uncreatively arrange themselves in a similar way. Groups of 4. To paraphrase Eddie Izzard, it's because they have a fourth of a personality each. I'm not trying to be a misogynist, but I do point out these aren't real women. They're just little girls, and they're everywhere. With most fathers holding down 9-to-5 jobs that have nothing to do with what we are genetically wired to do as people, most kids were raised by overbearing mothers. The current generation is completely emasculated with no real male guidance or clear way to turn except for what they see on a screen. As a result, there is division on every level of life. Religious, political, educational, moral, even scientific. For those who get out of this hole one way or another, self-education, self-employment, or any other way of opting out of the pussy money rat race, you still have the grueling problem of finding a social network that you genuinely connect with. And the smarter you are, the harder it is, because you often have to lie to yourself around others almost to get anyone to even listen to you. One other thing, the women who are in this situation who are not bitter are often the ones you should go after. Helpful hint for the guys there. Thank God for uncensored YouTube discourse, or I would have gone crazy a long time ago. Thank you for the people who are interested in my videos. It means a lot to me. Thank you for contributing to all my emotional rants in your own nice little pleasant way. Real male social skills are very hard to develop because of these reasons. It's very easy for a 20-something like me to become bitter and disempowered due to lack of genuine male connection. The worst part is, if there is any backlash from a rather splintered and coddled group of Western men who have spent too much time indoors, it'll probably be loaded with misogyny and hate due to sheer alienation from the inside and outside, from having no real connection to their heart, and being driven into a relationship with the bitches of the world who selfishly keep up appearances to enjoy all the positive emotions being on top of the status ladder can afford, until they can cut and run with another man and half their husband's money to keep up the pace as their looks fade. Yes, it happens. Yes, it happens an awful lot, and there are only self-centered white feminists and confused men to blame in the end. The only solution! Men, man up, make your own choices with 100% trust and real creativity. Honour your deepest and highest impulses, both together, as part of one self, one being. Women, gain some self-esteem, go get laid, and enjoy it. Enjoy your sexuality. You're all human, there's nothing asserting itself in your life without your choice that it is so. Hey guys, surrounded by bitchy gold diggers? Stop the self-important psychoanalysis and go get something else for once. Honestly, a confident, sweet woman I can vibe and have fun with is the best thing in the world, and it pains me to generalise in this fashion. I know the opposite of all this can be true, but can anyone disagree this is the trend nowadays? Anyone? Anybody? Well, my cats are here. They're not arguing with me. They're not even meowing. They can't even speak English. Whatever. I welcome all thoughts and criticism, but really it's irrelevant. Live your life without regret. The only limit is your soul. Live your dreams to victory or death. Have a creative self so wild it destroys the ugliness of the reality I just described. Dare you live a heaven on earth? Hopefully I ripped you out of your self-induced myopic daydreams long enough to see that your automatic habits are not you. They were put in place by people who never gave a shit about you. But it doesn't matter. They can never pull your strings ever, 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 ever again. Do what Alan Arkin's character in Little Miss Sunshine says to the sun. Go fuck a lot of women. Fuck a lot of women, come on. Your consciousness is open source. I defy and challenge every last person watching this video to change their life. Leave a comment below, down below, right now, and leave one thing you can do to better your relationships and make it something that hurts to think about, either because it's unspeakably awesome or really, really painful. Push your limits way out there, past your comfort zone. Come on. Come on, this is the one life that you've got as far as you know. Far as you know, it's the one life you got. Why are you wasting on a fucking screen? You're alive. Act like it, or get to your deathbed in boring, complacent fashion, in which case we have nothing left to discuss. Do it now.